A man who has been abusing federal government, abusing Buhari, abusing anything federal, suddenly decided that a policy that I have denounced, even as a former chairman of APC, and I didn't denounce it secretly. I denounced it on channel television. In the course of campaigning, when I hear people they complain to me about the challenges they have, I have never hesitated in denouncing it. And I will continue to denounce it because it is not the policy of APC. I can't be afraid to say the truth. So Obaseki wanted to make money out of this hardship, suddenly become pro CBN governor, defending anti-people policy, where your people are groaning. And he has made the wrong assumption that Edo people don't know their right from their left. He went to court to challenge the decision of the Supreme Court, which had ordered that this suffering, this sudden withdrawal of confiscation of currencies and the bank refusal to release money that people toil to earn. And the Supreme Court rightly gave an injunction. And everybody knows. You don't even have to be a governor to know that. But for the rule of law, what we protect Obaseki in of Sadibe Avenue, given his crimes against Edo people. But because of the rule of law, he is enjoying himself there. Even though people have lost confidence in him. So when the Supreme Court of the land makes a decision, people expect that everyone who is a product of pilot, a policy that is clearly imposing hardship, even the president has spoken to the unintended consequences. Obaseki is on record with his Attorney General appearing on television. By those who watch television, I wasn't able to watch it, asking to be joined to oppose other governors in support of this policy, which the Supreme Court has granted the interim injunction. So he created this problem. If the police are to deal with the root cause of the riot, Obaseki will have to be brought to justice. And I just saw a video today where he had a meeting with CBN officials in Benin and some POS operators, asking the CBN to make money available, this. I'm like, you see, when you start one lie, you will need several lies to sustain one lie. When has it become the business or the duty of a state governor to tell the CBN how to manage cash disbursement? When the same CBN officials went to him last week, which I referred to in one of my rallies a week ago, that day, this lady who is working with them, with the Edo State government, Mrs. Blackie, was reported as asking the CBN officials, how come that they can't even get 10,000? They said they should go to POS or go to ATM, but they are not getting money and people are sleeping there. Their members are selling rice and tomatoes, okra, onions, and so on. And they explain how this senseless policy, I call it senseless because you don't make a policy based on idealism. Policy should be formed by the objective reality on ground. And a CBN official was reported to have said to the market women, if you can't get 10,000, even if it's 5,000, you can manage it. What an insult. And so, a governor that benefited from vote casted by people who killed other sun and rain to vote for you. Your reward for them is at the moment like this, when they are in distress, when their businesses, small businesses, many of these people, there is no presence of government in their lives. It's they, God, and weather. They toil to make 5,000. And they were told it is safe to keep money in the bank, not at home. They kept this money in the bank. Some of them, their total savings for a year is not up to 100,000 or 200,000. They want to take 20,000, which even Governor Mefili promised. They can't get it. And they are saying the banks are holding the money and all that. But they have not named any particular bank. No bank MD is known to have been invited for questioning. They say it is an unknown banker. My friend, Nigerians are not stupid. So let me be very clear so nobody should misunderstand me. I, Adam Oshiomhole, I believe Nigerians have a right to protest against anything that they are not happy about. But I also want Nigeria to understand that there's a huge difference between protest and rioting. And that the problem of rioting is like shooting gun into a market. You don't know who it will hit. But when you peacefully decide to protest, that is what distinguishes a free people from slaves. So I cannot, even when I was in government, if some of you will recall, play back your video, you will see me addressing tomato women, addressing people selling okra, addressing all kinds of people who have issues. Whether issues arising from Edo State government decision or issues arising from federal government decision. Of course, we are free people. But that is not the same thing as going for violence. So I have no hand in it. And my position on it is clear. It hasn't changed. I still believe the Supreme Court accessibly made a decision that in terms of balance of convenience, you cannot confiscate our currency or refuse to give to us the currency we gave the bank to keep. It does not belong to the bank. It does not belong to the central bank. I hold those views very seriously. And I am on tape and I will give it. If you give me your WhatsApp numbers, I will spread it. And please use it as generously as you can. A week ago or thereabout, in fact, the day the Supreme Court granted that injunction was filed by APC governors. So when I say it's not APC policy, I mean it. The fact that APC governors are challenging the decision is the best proof that this is not APC policy. The day that injunction was granted, it coincided with the day I was scheduled to address a rally in Auchi. And I spoke to the evil, the dehumanizing implications of this policy. And that for me, the state, that's to say, Nigeria government or any of its agencies, including the CBN, cannot pretend over official extortion of citizens. It is extortion when a citizen goes to POS operator and he has to part with 1,000 if he wants 5,000. And when I try to also find out why would the POS operators be doing that, if they tell you their own story, you will also be sympathetic to them. They unable to get a formal allocation from the bank across the counter. They have to queue and sleep in the few POS that are, ATM machines that are working to maybe access 5,000, 10,000, or not more than 20,000, according to the draconian policy of the CBN. So when they have slept there overnight to get small quantity, let's say 10,000 or even 20,000 maximum, 100 people want to change their money from 20,000. You have about 200,000, 1 million chasing 20,000. And when the man factor in the cost of sleepless night, temporarily separated from his family overnight with all the risks that that entails, he then decided to charge a premium. So head or tail, even the POS person is a victim. The real culprit is the central bank. You don't pursue policies before you put in place the necessary infrastructure. Even now, I'm sure many of you, because nobody here should pretend that he's not a Nigerian, many of you are trying either to receive what somebody is transferring to you by way of salary, or you want to send something to your mother who is not living in Benin. You send it, and your mother is not able to receive it 24 hours later because the system is congested, which means CBN did not plan, nor did they encourage the banks to put the necessary infrastructure in place to take the massive traffic that will result from transfers. But even at that, the woman who sells tomatoes, who now can't get people to pay him because she doesn't have a bank, in the evening, the tomatoes goes to rot. So a small business, which is part of the thing the CBN has been touting about supporting small-scale businesses, the huge role of the Nigerian informal sector. It is that sector now that is being wiped off by this senseless policy. And you have an Obaseki who somehow managed to convince people there is an economy. There is nothing about his CV that suggests he read economics. So it's an economy, so there will be long-term benefit. What is long-term benefit? After death, what follows? Everywhere I go, I'm in circulation. And I'm very privileged. And I thank God for that. Now, there are millions of Nigerians across the country who live on what I call, or what Americans will call, tips. They are not employed. They go to airports. They go to motor park. They go to various locations. And if they think you need help, or you don't even need the help, you carry bag, they want to help you. And when you see what is going to, you look at their faces, you put your hand in your pocket and give them 500 naira, 1,000 naira, or even 5,000. Now you can't even give tips to this army of people who, on account of their being unemployed, have resorted to this self-help. They have wives, they do pay rent. So I don't know how anybody can justify this. Although your question is about the allegation against me, but I thought that was too laughable to merit response. But let me reinterpret the logic. Assuming, please, I want to speak slowly here. Assuming without conceding that I'm the one who ordered the protest, those huge numbers of people that came out yesterday, if they were taking orders from me, even though I have left government for the past 7 years, and incidentally, I have not been in Edo for the past 4 days. I was in Imo, from Imo to Port Harcourt. If I have that power to move those market women, elderly people that I saw in those videos, boys and girls, if I have those powers to order them and to respect my orders, it just means that Obaseki is no longer the governor of the state. He may be governor in the eyes of the law, but the legitimacy to govern, he has lost it. And when you remember that this is a man who said, I am finished. So, from my political grave, I have this huge influence. So, I think we should discuss other issues. But I do understand the fact that he has been using his people to oppress the opposition here. He has harassed the obedience, destroying or refusing them to put their billboards. And he did the same to APC. APC had to do a press conference. He was using the boys in the night to remove those things. Yesterday, he saw the limit of power. when broad daylight, people are not discussing themselves, and they rightly saw PDP as a problem. But if you are not benefiting from this abuse, why will you celebrate it? So I'm clear that no right thinking, I emphasize, no right thinking person, certainly not in the security agencies, who have followed my campaigns, who have followed my comments on this issue, we take Obaseki serious. Because everywhere I go, when I hear, as I'm about to do, listen to people we are canvassing for votes, and they talk about the hardship arising from this policy and the twin evil of scarcity of PMS. What I tell them is on tape, not in one place, not in two places, everywhere. And I know that our security agencies are present when we agree those rallies. You have SSS, you have police in every local government, in every ward, you have them. My message has been clear. My people, may this pain you are going through be the incentive you need to insist that you must vote. Don't play into their hand by resorting to protest. Because what some of them want, people like Emefiele, is for this election not to take place. Because if there's massive uprising, there will be no election. What does that mean for the poor people? Now you have opportunity to vote and choose who you want. In my own case, the Jagaba of the universe, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you prefer another person, it's your choice. But that right to exercise that choice, don't allow anyone to provoke you into doing things that will give them a shield to postpone the elections. I have been saying that, and I insist it is so. Because I don't think anybody who wants this election to take place will create this hardship. No democracy does that. So, you media people have a huge task. Even though some of you are already politically committed, one way or the other, when you watch the news, Nigerians can tell you, I listen to a man I respect very much, another statement in his own right. Not a bread and butter politician, Robert Clark, SAN. He narrated that even at his level, he has not held, he's not a minister, he's not a politician, he doesn't belong to any political party. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria. I'm not sure he's still even in practice, but he has his reputation. He had an interview with Arise Television, and he told the TV host that, look, you guys should go beyond partisanship and look at issues objectively. And he said Robert Clark, he found himself having to buy Naira with Naira. That is to say, he wanted 120,000 Naira to sort out a few domestic issues. And he had to pay 150,000 Naira to buy 120,000 Naira. That's a senior advocate in Nigeria. So if he's that helpless, and he did it twice. So if he is that helpless, what about the unknown Nigerian who wakes up, walk 10 kilometers to the farm, plant cassava, plant orange, whatever is it, pray for good harvest? Policy. This policy now will discourage, is a major setback to our journey towards cashless policy. Because by denying people, poor people, the right to their money, the message is going around that if you ever get a Naira again, don't keep for bank. But one day they can wake up and say you can't take it. Because they assume that because the masses are not PhD holders, they don't have native intelligence. Will you now keep your money in the bank when you are not sure that somebody can wake up next tomorrow and say that this money, you can't withdraw it? He's not accusing you of any crime. He says he's putting this limit, use card. Meanwhile, in Edo State, let me speak to my senatorial zone. we have 6 local governments. It is only my local government that we have banks. Onwa West has no bank. Onwa East, no bank. Akoko Edo, no bank. Esako Central, no bank. Esako East, no bank. In Esako East, we have 2 giant cement factories with a turnover that runs into several billions. There is no bank there. It is the business of CBN to encourage banks to locate not just in what they consider to be economically viable areas, to spread out. So how come the bank can impose this hardship on Nigerians, but they can't compel central commercial banks to have branches? The way INEC will insist that before you are registered as a political party, you must have offices in at least 2/3 of the states of the federation. The CBN doesn't operate like that. So you went after the weakest, and then they come on with this dubious argument about fighting corruption. How? When I see CBN officials talking like that, I realize how. Let me ask you. For me, the height of corruption in Nigeria today is the fact that some people can get the dollar at 340, and most Nigerians have to get the same dollar at 740. And the price you pay for anything you consume now is based on 740. Even though those who are privileged to import those goods with official exchange rate are paying 440. So if the CBN allocate $1 million to you because you belong, within 24 hours, you will make 300 million naira. If that is not corruption, if that is not the height of corruption, then let nobody talk about corruption. This country belongs to all of us. So I don't have any personal interest, but just that I appreciate early in life. And one of the things that attracted me to trade unionism is when I see many working and only few people are benefiting. That's why I go into trade union struggle at the age of 17.
So, sir, comrades.
Yes. The question is, I associate myself with the injunction by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the ultimate court. If there is dispute between government and citizens, or between citizens and citizens. So the prerogative of the Supreme Court, in my view, I am bound by law, and having had opportunity in the course of being a governor to swear to uphold the Nigerian Constitution, that oath is still binding on me. But I even suspect that the president can say he said what he said. Are they going to load now 100,000, 50,000 of 200 in an ATM machine? In the next 24 hours, go and do your investigative journalism and see whether the money available now, new or old 200 naira, is now available for you to withdraw. Because I think that those who are determined to sabotage it, even the president's pronouncement, I doubt if they will obey it. They will still speak to faceless banks as being responsible. When government begin to blame saboteurs, it's like when we blame those selling generators as being responsible for lack of power. I'm like, so if we know them, why are we not dealing with them? The business of government is not to lament, it's to fix it.
So, sir, in the face of all this, sir,
look, it's a wrong question when you talk of chances of my party. I think what should bother you is, without cash, can even INEC conduct the election? Because for the first time in our history, pre-independence, post-independence, that an electoral umpire, the chairman, 2 weeks to the election or thereabout, when I can imagine how much he has on his table to deal with, he has to create time to go and visit and plead with the governor of the CBN that they will need cash, that some of their transactions necessary for a smooth, free and fair election require cash. And he is appealing to the CBN governor to have access to such cash. And the CBS governor graciously assured the electoral umpire that he will make cash available. Now, for me, the implication of this is that so the governor can choose who to give cash to, and by implication, who he should not give cash to. That doesn't give me much comfort. It doesn't give me much comfort. So for me, it's about looking at the bigger issues.
Sir, I just want you to give a little advice, because the present precarious situation needs an encouragement, at least to strengthen the hope of the hopeless. What is your advice? And what is the way forward?
My advice is that, and I've already implied that in my statement, and I will show you what I've said even before now. You know, I have been in this game of interfacing with the state virtually all my adult life. When there is a policy that is designed to provoke you, resist provocation. Because the timing of these policies alone bring politics into it. And when you see and hear analysts saying it's meant to prevent vote buying, then they are the ones who are now politicized the issue. Who is likely to do vote buying? Is it the guy who buy $1 for $7.40, or the guy who buy $1 for $4.40? My appeal to Nigerians is that, first, there is a huge difference between peaceful protest and violence or rioting. No society benefits from rioting. Innocent people will always be the victim. The property you see do not belong to the state. In fact, the state has no property. Government doesn't have property. We talk about government building only in the manner of speaking. Because in truth, for example, when I was governor of Edo State, every government building, you can say it's Oshiomhole's building. But I ended my tenure. Those properties remain. I made them there too. So government property even belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the governor. It doesn't belong to the president. So if you are angry with government, please don't mistake the policy maker for, government assets. Don't ever attack them, because at the end of the day, it is your taxes that will be used to rebuild them. So head or tail, you are a loser. Number two, a lot of people whose banks were destroyed yesterday, I am sure if you were to have the opportunity of a private conversation with them, banks make their money based on turnover. When the banking activity has slowed down, the informal sector is almost wiped off. Even the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is complaining that this policy is affecting their markets, etc., etc. To resort to destroy private banks is unfortunate, because we have a saying in our language that even when you are crying, you should still see road. So whereas I don't want to be misunderstood, because for me, this is fundamental. Nigerians cannot be denied the right to protest against anything they are not happy with. But Nigerians must know the difference between protest and rioting and violence. You can have massive protests without violence. I have led massive protests without violence. And even when police attack my followers, I tell them, two wrongs don't make it right. But we remain focused that what we are fighting against must be changed. But we will not be provoked to fight. Because if you do, as I said, and the elections are postponed, will the masses benefit? The only, why the masses should be determined to protect democracy is that whether it delivers or not, the fact that it is only in your name that anybody can become a councillor or a governor or a president is huge. Even this debate about buying vote, it shows that now people realize the electorate matters, so they want to seduce them. And not only in Nigeria, the recent debate in America after Trump's disaster, some Republican states were amending the law, electoral law, and some Republicans were protesting. Now, the argument of the Republicans is that people should not bring water to voting center. They should not bring hamburger or big burger or any burger or soft drinks for people to drink, because they realize that a segment of the population, probably blacks, they can't stay for long on a long queue. And if there is no water, no soft drink, no hamburger, they may not vote. And so the whites will vote. So they amended those laws. And I saw people on CNN protesting that this is meant to disenfranchise Americans. But the Republicans believe that you are inducing the voters by giving them water to drink. So there is I don't know who the purists are when they speak with that kind of managerial finality.